guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video I'll be going through the St Kilda injury update list and I guess just the injuries that we've had on Australia Day observed. I guess it wasn't even Australia Day that a lot of this injury chaos happened, and mostly this video is centered around Phillipou and how we can adjust to him being out, given that I believe the news on him was that he would be out for roughly 10 to 14 weeks, I want to say. I just need to quickly update that. Let me just see it. 10 to 14 weeks with a stress fracture in his femur. So we're going to go through that, how we are only, a good, where is the clock for this? We're only 44 days away from the start of the season, which we know is 6 weeks, and 6 doesn't go into, or 10 doesn't go into 6. So we know that he's not going to be there for the first, 4 to 8 rounds or whatever. He could be a goodbye play almost at that point if in the forward line. You know, one of your last upgrades is a simple, almost straight swap for once Phillipou gets 4 or so weeks in his legs. But yeah, that's sort of the thought process, I guess, there with regards to that. How are you going to get Phillipou? Because he's going to be a buy in the season, I feel like. But that's another story for 10 weeks down the line or 15 weeks down the line. But anyway, let's just jump into this video and what to do with Phillipou. So as you can see, this is the current team. We will be sort of flicking around options, etc. But I sort of made this, I made a tweet about it very, very quickly about with regards to the Phillipou injury. How do we sort of handle it? If I just do, let's just do this, just to make it a little bit more obvious for people that are looking at this. We'll do, honestly, we'll do this, all outside borders, and then we'll do, I guess this here. 1 second, let me just fix this up here, and then we'll do that, and we'll do that again there. So you've got, it didn't want to work. Do that, thank you, there we go. So you got this basically and how to deal with the Phillipou injury. So we'll just go through all of these options in this video here, as it's going to be pretty much tailored to Phillipou, and we'll also just sprinkle in the other injuries there as well. And especially if I can just go to my Twitter as well with regards to this, as well as I did post about the rucks, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, this is kind of a 5-minute plan that I made, and I'm just going to sort of long form talk about it in a video now. So the first option is a straight swap in the forward line. Phillipou's priced around that 600 to 650, 6k. If we look at the forwards, and then we just go, 600k, and we go to team selected by, you'll see that I think these two are going to pick up. I mean, these three are probably going to pick up a large portion of the slack, I feel like, in Riley Sanders, Darcy Wilson, and Jack Graham. I feel like Sanders is the most obvious one. We talked about him in the mid-prices video yesterday from the forwards, because, you know, timing of that is almost impeccably bad, that I just said, yep, Phillipou's going to be a keeper, and then like 2 hours later he's spotted with crutches, and that sort of put alarm bells out that he was going to be potentially out. So yeah, I heard that news about an hour before Tom Morris dropped it, and that sort of sent alarm bells. But yes, Riley Sanders is probably the guy that if you were to just go straight, I'm just going to take Phillipou out of the side. I might actually just do that now, just to sort of get the injured guy out of my side in general. But yeah, he's 48% owned at the moment. We'll see how that tracks as well. There's other websites that you can use to see how that tracks. But he's probably going to drop dramatically to probably 10% by the time that opening round rolls around, because a lot of people will just sort of set and forget their team and then pick it up at opening round, etc. But yeah, definitely going to see him drop dramatically in the next couple of days as people just start figuring out ways to plan around this. Almost just watching this video and just figuring out the way around it. But if I was to pick out of the options between Darcy Wilson and Jack Graham, Darcy Wilson is an interesting one because he's been touted out to be that sort of halfback. I forget the exact words from Ross Lyon with regards to Darcy Wilson. If we actually go to, we'll just do it this way, Darcy Wilson. And we'll just see the top comments around him from memory. It might have been, no, we're just going to get random people. Let's see if I can choose this. Ross Lyon. Let's see. Does it have any connection there? There's rumours there. I suppose in a cafe with Harley Reid. No one cares about that necessarily. So, yeah, we'll just see. But yeah, it's not looking. Can't find anything with regards to Darcy Wilson, but I did see something with regards to the likes of Darcy Wilson playing more of that halfback role, something that we saw or have been talking about with Ollie Hollands. So that could be a wait and watch. Do you really want that though? Because Sinclair, Wangney, Malira, Irish Schoenmaker, etc. Like, do you really want the defensive side winger type of approach? Because that feels like it's what it's going to be. I don't really like it as much. So we know that St Kilda do really like those type of plays, but I don't think you can have like all four of them almost in a way. So I just don't really like that approach too much, to be honest with you. So there's that. So I think that's enough about the straight swap. Maybe we'll just quickly go to the 500k options, or just quickly. Rochelle could be an interesting one, but I don't think he's played enough in the midfield in pre-season to go there. And then in the 500k range, just quickly going through, I don't like any of these options in the 500k range, and we'll just go quickly to the 700k range. I don't like any of these options in the 700k range for a slight upgrade there, to be honest with you. Maybe Sam Darcy with the Team English news, and this is when I'll talk about the ruck line. What utter chaos. If I can bring up my my tweet about that as well, you'll see that I tweeted about this as well. I've been saying all praises, and I still believe this. Sherry will drop down to about 105, 110 from, what's he priced at, 115? Give or take, 115, yeah. So I feel like he's going to drop to 105, 110 across the season. Like, yes, he probably now with Team English gets an easy run here, then has Gawn, Riley O'Brien, Brody Grundy, and Jared Witts. So that's a tough run of 4 games after the Western Bulldogs, which is kind of tough. But yeah, I feel like he's going to drop across the long run of the season to a 105, 110 type of guy from a, what would we say, 115? Yeah, 114.5. So that's still going to be a top 3-4 ruck. Like, there's no doubt in that. But it's almost like you have to go with the crowd now because of all the injuries. He's just going to jump into the like 60% ownership. And at that point, you can't really go against your... you pretty much can't go against the community at that point, because potting one of the most owned players, I know that, who said this? Who would have said this? Someone would have said this in a podcast that I was listening to last night. It may have been the Fantasy Fanatics, one of their podcasts, that basically when you do go against the top own players, you are destined almost to fail, and that's something that you can't do. Might have been the coaches panel, I don't know exactly. I'm actually going to try and see if I can bring up the YouTube video from my history on my phone quickly here, and just see if I can bring it up so that I can see what it was. Let me just see quickly, but yeah, it was one of those that no, it probably was actually the Supercoach Insider that might have said it, and just saying that you can't really anti-pod a top owner. They were talking about their buy video. That is a really quality video that stretches across Fantasy and Supercoach. So yeah, you probably want to go check that out. But having said that, if I remember, what's the buy fixture? They're on 13 and Sherry is on 12, so that's fine. So we talked about that. We talked about the rucks. We talked about the holding going straight across the line. So now let's go going down in the forward line to a Hutchinson/rookie. Hutchinson's one that I think's been blinking at us for the last about week or so with regards to the Yo injury that we got. So if I just go through here. So when I'm talking about going down, I'm sort of talking about mid 400Ks down to like a rookie price guy in that forward line. So let's just take Riley Sanders out for the moment, and yes, you'll see that they'll be out of price order, but I'm just going to do this for the sake of it. So you've got Neil Erasmus, a guy that I've been talking up heavily. I just don't know if you can start him, given that the sub rule is just being pesky at this point. It's just the annoyance of everything. If they got rid of the sub rule, had 4 on the bench, and then suddenly you're like, yep, Erasmus is in the 22, then suddenly it'd be so good. But that sub rule is just so annoying that you don't know till an hour before kickoff. And because teams play before them, etc., on the opening, round 0, if my memory is correct, I know we have the Richmond-Carlton game before them at least, then you can't really go there. You could go down to a Kako, but like that is releasing a lot of points, I would say. Kako is a guy that's going to go up and down, and the guy that I really want just to be sitting on my bench, almost over the likes of Curtin if he gets a good opening round. Taru, Taru's had injuries as well. Yeah, Taru's 4 to 8 weeks. That's round 1 basically cooked for him. He shouldn't be debuting in round 1 given that injury. Taj Houghton, I think they'll nurse him back. Devon Robertson, no. Zane Desmond, no. Riff McGuinness playing half-back, but that could be interesting in opening round if we see that. That role could be interesting. Given round 3 bye, can you really start Cleary, Bailey, Smith, etc. on that? So that'll be interesting there. But then we go to the 200 to 299k. You got Heath Livingston, that's basically the ruck line. Joe Barry, a guy that's pretty much been quote-unquote said, paraphrasing, he's going to debut round 1. Charleston, no. Archer Reid is probably just the ruck, etc. that everyone's picking. Max Hall's been impressing. Could he get a run early? That would be almost counterintuitive to go Max Hall because he's going to be dropped as soon as Phillipou comes back, which could be round 4, could be round 8, etc. Could that be his job done already by that point? Constanti probably gets a run early on for the Kangas. Then you also have Corey Warner, who could get a run at that small forward wing role as well. He's sort of in there with Campbell, as well as Hanley and Taylor Adams as that sort of small forward wing. Well, Taylor Adams isn't a wing, but sort of that combination of those two positions, he's sort of in and around the marker there. So those are kind of the options before we get into the options that are presenting themselves as of the 28th of January, which we know, while away from the round 1 and round 0, I guess, in the sense it is 44 days. So that is very much the case that we won't know who's going to get a debut. Does Caden Cleary get that small forward spot? Does Elijah Hewitt now get a massive role, get that definite role at least for the first 3 or 4 weeks at that midfield slot, because Elliot Yeo is potential to be out for the first, 2-3 weeks or so. It sounds like they said 6 to 8. That could extend easily out to 10. With Elliot Yeo, with his injury history, as well as being a little bit older, and they know that they don't want to burn it out quickly, so that could extend out the first 3 or 4 rounds. And by that point, Elijah Hewitt's done his damage. He's done that cash generation that we sort of need out of him to get him up quickly. I know with the forward line now that you have only 3 mainstays plus Jason Horne-Francis, Isaac Rankin. If Phillipou's there, isn't there, then for most of the season, it kind of almost brings out that top 6 range back down another average or 2, I feel like, to the next guy in that clump. So it kind of almost brings the key forwards back, those top end key forwards like Kerno, back into the conversation. But anyway, having said all that, we won't know about the rookies at the moment with regards to the forward line. So I feel like can't really go there at the moment. But we could go there after round 0 is probably the best way to phrase that. So going down in the forward line, I've actually reworded these the wrong way. That is so me, isn't it? To accidentally reword these the wrong way. So let's just do that. There we go. And that's what I meant to say. And someone's probably picked up on that, I would say, in the conversation there. So no one's picked up on it yet, but someone will. So we talked about the Hutchinson going down, so now we need to talk about the rookie going up to 700k in the midfield. That's basically the Peatlings, the Hollands, etc. Let's just go to the midfield, because you're basically saying I'm going to have an extra 300, 400k to jump on top of, say, an Ashcroft, Lindsay, etc. to a Peatling. Say that's the Smiley up. Let's look at the midfield. Harley Reid, very owned, but we know about that. Darcy Wilson, you'd be starting in the forward line anyway. You'd be starting. You don't really like that in the midfield to have a DPP. Holland is a guy that probably people are talking about. I may even use that to generate some cash there to get him up to get some other players up, but we'll see about that. As I kind of don't like this this setup at the moment with 2-ish rookies, with 5 rookies plus Josh Sin. Don't like it as much, but Ollens could be the bust pick anyway, so might not want to go there. So you see 600k, there's not really anyone. 500k, just double checking. Isaac Cummings had injury concerns anyway, and a lot of these guys are DPP, so you don't want to touch them. The 700k range, you got Will Day, Doherty. So, and that's pretty much it. Will Day and Doherty. Okay. So Will Day, he may be the pick over like a Chera, etc. Just because he's done it before. But the problem is he's done a little bit of forward work as well, and that the mid slot is kind of opening up for Chera with Walsh down with a slight back or hamstring, whatever it was. I think it was hamstring, but he's done his back before. He's had injuries like everywhere on his body, and he's like 24. Then you've got the Nick Newman injury as well at Carlton. So how is that going to frame up? Is that going to be Doherty? Is that going to be Holland, etc.? We won't know yet. So that kind of opens up the frame for Adam Chera to partner Paddy Cripps in the midfield. He's also had, I think, a full preseason to date. But we know when I say full preseason that the next day they're going to come out and get injured, because that's my luck at the moment, especially if you were in the ruck line. So Tristan Cherry owners are probably cursing themselves at this point. But Will Day, Chera, and Doherty are probably the options there alongside James Peatling for that M5, M6 role, and to be able to go up from the likes of a rookie to them for the Phillipou change. Then we go into, and I'll change that after anyway. But yeah, you've got that. You've also got, and I'm just going to do it anyway. It would be right border, I'm pretty sure. No, it would be get rid of the... anyway, but yeah, so you got that as well. And then you've got, in the defense itself, you've got the how are we going to adjust with the, with that, and how are we going to, which players are we looking at in that sort of 700k range? Because that's roughly about the range where you're going to get the downgrade to a rookie in the forward line, and then get that cash up to a mid pricer. So if we go to the defenders, 700k range, you've got Mills. I mean, you could say Short in a way. Mills, Short, Roberts, Perryman, Humphreys, Roberts, etc. are basically all the options in the 700 to 800k range, if I remember correctly. Oh, you also have McKercher. That kind of makes sense to a certain degree, I feel like. But yeah, McKercher, I don't really know, because Daniel's sort of back there. I feel like he's going to play wing, half back, etc. So it's hard to tell at the moment, but I feel like he's going to be a trap alongside the likes of a Matty Roberts, in that they're going to score all right, but they're not going to be that sort of keeper guy, and you're going to be almost left with a guy that's sort of burning 5-10 points to the top end, but he isn't really making as much value as a guy like he is kind of very similar to a Short, but Short has that main role, and probably, I feel like, could gain another 5 or 10 points on Colby. 5 or 10 points on Colby is a lot more valuable, I feel like, especially coming from 2 points down. So, like, that's a 7 to 10 point value gap difference, almost, in a way, comparative to Colby. And also, I think he has a much, much better buy, doesn't he? He's got round 14 buy compared to Colby McKercher, who's got the round 12. And the round 12 is a hell buy to be on, especially because you're going to have Sheasel and McKercher in the same team, on the same buy. You're going to have Bont, etc. You're going to have Cherry, that's already 4. Then you're going to have Daniel and probably Jason Norman Francis, that's already 6. And this is why Jason Norman Francis might actually be a non-buy, just because you need almost upgrade targets after that buy for round 13 or 14, etc., where you're trying to shift guys back. So yeah, that's why McKercher and also Jason Horne-Francis are probably two guys that come up in this scenario but don't want to be the guy that you want to go to. So let's look at the bottom end of this and go back to the 700Ks. Roberts, I feel like gets a pretty decent role at this one, especially if they go for pattern. I know that I've sort of talked about it with a lot of content creators in Twitter DMs about this, but the problem is I don't feel like he's going to be that sort of top 6 to 8. I feel like he breaks down into that sort of 10 to 12 range, and Jordan Clark did this awfully similar last year. So it's just a question of, is there enough value there to go with Roberts, or do you want to go with someone like a Josh Sin or someone like that who might have a huge role? And this is all dependent on the team list. But do you really want Roberts, or do you want to go for a guy like a Josh Sin that can allow a massive restructure, I guess? So Roberts is just very interesting, and if Roberts goes like 130 in round 0, then you might have to just go for him. But yeah, just very, very interesting to go with, to have those options open. Harry Perryman, very, very similar sort of proposition there. Could easily go 90, 95, 100 in round 0 and just be a buy there, and a starter, but could also just have the role and be sort of that top 15, 10 to 15 range, and just sort of be a decent pick, but not an outstanding pick. So there's that as well. So these guys are definitely all in the conversations just on round 0 score with regards to the Phillipou upgrade. So we got through the first main section here. Then we go to the forward line. Going up in the forward line, this one is going to be very awfully quick, because if we go to the 800k range in the forward line, you basically have Rankin, Baker. I mean, Daniel's got the opening round, so don't want to go him either. And then Parker could be an interesting one to go to, but I don't think he scores terribly that well. Abs did a good video with regards to Supercoach and how he isn't probably going to score that well. I think I flagged it in the primos for the forward line. And then you've got Horne-Francis and Dylan Moore, who I almost put in the same bracket. So it's interesting. But then again, we talked about, and this is why that Supercoach Insider video about buys is so critical. When you think about Horne-Francis, he's on round 12. Harry Sheezel's on round 12. We don't really need to think about anyone below Callum Mills at that point. So you got those two on round 12. You got Bontempelli on round 12. That's 3. Brayshaw isn't, because he's on the round 13. The perfect buy. Timmy Taranto's on round 14, etc. Clayton Oliver, he's on round 15, etc. Adam Chera, he's on round 12. So if Adam Chera is probably almost a keeper at that point. So that's up to, 4 already. Tristan Cherry is 5 already. If we, are we counting? So Sheezel, Horne-Francis, Bont, Chera, Cherry. Then you have Caleb Daniel. So that's already 6 guys on the same buy that are considered almost keepers at round 12. That gets you into a very, very interesting position, because you're probably not going to have 22 premiums by that point. You're probably going to be sitting on around 20 premiums at that point. 20 premiums, plus already starting 6 of them. Who are you at? You're not only getting yourself into a tough situation on round 12 itself, because you might be underscoring, you may almost leave yourself open in round 14 or so, or round 13, where you don't really have guys that you can sort of offload in round 15, and with the round 15, 16 buy that are needing to be upgraded. Say, does Peatling fall under this category? Say you're Peatling. Peatling is, you want to upgrade your Peatling. You want to upgrade your Jaden Short. You want to upgrade those guys so that you have almost no premiums on, or other than your Tim Tarantos and your Max Gawn, etc. Does Max Gawn fall under that category? Do I have a Melbourne player? Clayton Oliver, please. Yep, Melbourne. So you want to leave your Max Gawn, your Tim Tarantos, and Andrew Brayshaw, etc. doesn't fall under that category, but you're Jordan Dawson's and those type of guys for round 15 and 16, where you have 2 guys off or 3 guys off, 3-4 primos off, which doesn't matter as much. That's why Jason Horne-Francis is almost a no-go, because he almost doesn't allow you, he almost short strings you in round 12, But then he double downs in round 13 and 14 when you're trying to trade those later buy guys to open it up so that you can gain more points in round 15 and 16, because you don't have any options. Because by then, you'll only have, I want to say 6 teams off the bye when you turn into round 14. And there's only so many guys you can pick up from Fremantle and St Kilda, which you're already loading up on itself because they have the good bye. Like, you already have Sinclair, Brayshaw, potentially Darcy at this point, potentially he's upgraded. You've already got McRae, etc. So you've already got 3, 4, 5 primos from that line anyway. Then you've got the 6 already. So you've already got like 11 out of the 13, 14 primos. So there's not many other options to go to in that line. So, those buys. So that's why it's almost like a double down or a double negative if you do go Horne-Francis alongside Cherry, Bond, Chera, etc., Sheasel. That's why that the going up in the forward line is probably a little bit off. And Dylan Moore as well. He just doesn't really appeal to me, because he does have already 92 built in. I don't think he's going to go 100, so I don't think he's going to be value. So, and we're always trying to hunt value, underpriced primos, etc. So that's why I probably wouldn't go down this strategy in itself, going up in the forward line, but we'll quickly just talk about it. So the rookies in the midfield, 300 to 399k. Layla, I don't really like. He seems more of an impact player. Think of like Jason Horne-Francis or a Warner himself. It seems like that, and it feels like he's going to play more forward because they have Smiley. So there's that. Smiley is probably the guy that you would be targeting anyway. Smiley and Langford outside of Ashcroft, Lindsay, Draper, and Jagger. So those are sort of the 6 midfielders that you want. I'm probably going to end up with 5, if not 6 itself. So you want that extra rookie, etc. on field. For me, it would be Smiley. I just like that role better than Langford. As Langford's got to compete with Viney, Rivers, Petrarca, Oliver. That's already a full-man midfield. Whereas Smiley pretty much gets that 4th role. Then in defence, I pretty much have all the options anyway. But Tyru, don't like it. Dodie, don't like it. O'Sullivan, no, etc. Looking down here, I don't think anyone in the 300k range I like, to be honest. 200k range to 299k. Reed, Gibcus, the smalls. Bice is back in the rotation. He's probably not going to get a game to start. Leak's probably the option I like at that point, alongside Travalia, El Hooley, and Bo Allen. So I hope I've sort of talked about this, and I will readjust this with more players, etc. And so yeah, this will be a little bit more updated and more etc. But I hope I sort of gave you a long-winded answer to the Phillipou problem. What to do with Phillipou is the title of this video. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on YouTube. And if you're listening on Spotify, give me a follow and a rating over there. And I will see you guys back tomorrow for probably more injury update video, because someone else is going to go down, but also just something else, probably buy related at this point. And then we'll get into the player reviews, previews, etc. with Supercoach and Fantasy, doing them both side by side. But anyway, I'll see you guys in those videos. Bye guys.